It's one of the most iconic landscapes in American sports. 106 years old and counting. It's home to the fabled Boston Red Sox. I'm talking about our home for the next hour, Fenway Park. From the early days of Babe Ruth to Carlton Fisk's iconic Game 6 home run during the 1975 World Series to the 2004 curse-breaking championship team, this is a stadium that's seen it all. And now the Red Sox are half a game back of their rivals from the New York and for the lead in the American League East. Joining us now, a man who's been with the Red Sox for 15 years and is now the team's president, Sam Kennedy. Welcome to Bloomberg Technology.
Great to be with you. Thanks for being here at Fenway.
What a historic place, 106 years old, as we were just saying. I mean, we're a technology show. Talk to us about how you can be at the cutting edge of technology with a stadium such as this when it's old.
Well, we need to, because we've got lots of young fans coming through our gates, and we need to make sure they're connected at all times. So whether it's enhanced Wi-Fi or a distributed antenna system so people can be connected on their social media accounts, it's something that we focus on. The fan experience, when people come here, they need to be connected to each other, not just at the ballpark, but to their friends around the world. And it's a really important thing for us. Major League Baseball has spent a lot of money on upgrading the technology around its 30 ballparks and interacting with fans through their websites and social channels. So it's really a priority for us as we look to grow the game and as we move into the future.
How do you ensure it is a priority to you when, look, you get sellout games anyway? Do you really need to innovate? How do you keep on pushing yourself?
We do. We never want to take for granted that people are just going to keep coming through the gates of Fenway. We have 3 million people that come year in and year out, not just for baseball, but for concerts and for other events, whether it's international soccer games or college football or even outdoor ice hockey in the winter. So we try to do new and different things to make sure people are coming to Fenway throughout the year, and we're lucky to have such a loyal fan base.
New and different things like what?
Well, it's staging different events, like we've got concerts. We've got Jay-Z and Justin Timberlake have played here.
Personal favorite,
yeah, there
Jay-Z.
you go. Well, we've had Zach Brown Band and Pearl Jam will be here this summer. We've done ski jumping and snowboarding. We've had Liverpool Football Club come here and Celtic Football Club come here. So we really try to bring new and different events to the city of Boston, which of course is great for the region, for the economy, great for Fenway Park, and great for our fans.
You mentioned Liverpool FC there.
Yes.
Important because, in fact, the company that sort of oversees this, that owns this, is Fenway Sports Group, has a stake in Liverpool as well. What are the similarities you're seeing internationally? Because I know back home we are obsessed with our football, or soccer as you guys call it, as much as you're obsessed with baseball here.
There's no question. John Henry, Tom Werner, our owners, got involved with Liverpool back in 2010 with a desire of making sure that Anfield had a great experience for its fans, and they also wanted to try and win. That's the key here, is to win. You're in the professional sports business to win. Fortunately, Liverpool is playing in the Champions League finals in about 10 days in Kiev, which will be very exciting. So it is a very passionate fan base over in Liverpool and around the world, and we've really learned a lot from international football, as you call it.
Yeah.
And we've tried to bring some of those traditions to America and to Boston, including playing international football games here at Fenway Park.
Congratulations on the season. It's all about winning, as you say.
Well, we're still looking up at the Yankees, so we have a little bit of a ways to go.
Talk to me about that rivalry. It's so important. How do you try and get ahead, ensure that they're not in the first place?
Well, you have to invest heavily in your baseball operations department. Dave Dombrowski, our general manager, has done a great job of fielding a competitive team this year. We're a half game behind the Yankees, and we have scouting, player development. The amateur draft is coming up. It's really important that you're investing in those areas, and then we're fortunate to have the resources, as many Yankee fans know and Brian Cashman knows, to invest in the free agency market. So we try to do both, and it's hard to keep up with the Yankees. They have been our rival for so long, and it's actually good for baseball to see both teams at the American League East at the top of the AL East, but we've got a long way to go.
You say it's important about investing, spending the money. You've got deep pockets. It's been a weird off-season. We saw saw a lot of free agents going unsigned until the last minute. Is that changing the way that people are willing to spend money on players? Does it make it a better place for you when you've got deep pockets?
It'll be interesting to see. It was a very slow-moving off-season around the league. Perhaps the Red Sox were the exception. We invested heavily in free agency and re-signing some of our existing players. So we have one of the highest payrolls, if not the highest payroll in the game. So we continue, John Henry, Tom Werner, continue to invest. And we'll see. It may have been a moment in time in terms of the market conditions being a little bit different, who was available, what teams were looking to get under the competitive balance tax threshold. We'll see how next offseason develops, and you'll look back in 3 or 4 years and see if it was a blip on the radar or a trend as we move forward. That's yet to be determined.
How do you ensure that the franchise keeps on reaping in enough money to be able to do the investing in the players and making sure that you're splashing the most cash?
Yeah, well, you have to be focused on the fan experience, making sure Red Sox fans, who are the smartest fans in baseball, are getting a great experience when they come here. And they want to have fun. They want to enjoy good competitive baseball, but they also want to enjoy the other amenities throughout the ballpark, whether that's kids getting involved with our virtual reality activities or augmented reality through our baseball card collection.
So it's tech heavy here.
It is tech heavy, but you also have to balance that with a reminder that sometimes people want to come to a ballpark to get away from electronic devices and screens. So we need to cater to both audiences. But we need to recognize that if we're going to grow the game, we have to be investing in technology, because the next generation is a tech-savvy generation. They're on their mobile devices 7, 8, 9 hours a day, and we have to recognize that, and we need to be there.
What might make people on their mobile devices even more is if they can bet on sports. Now, I come from a country in the UK where we do bet on sports, and it looks as though your Supreme Court might allow it to occur here in the United States. How will that change the game, do you think?
Well, we'll see what happens. Major League Baseball has been very proactive in working with the state officials to see how it's going to work. Supreme Court has said that the states can now decide whether to legalize sports betting. So Major League Baseball has been working with the individual states and the legislators to see how this is all going to play out. Most important for us, we think it's a good thing because there will be regulation of sports betting. We know it's happening. There's a massive amount of illegal activity taking place. So if the government can regulate that activity, that is a good thing. It gives safety. We make sure the integrity of the game is preserved. And then we'll see what the other benefits may be, whether there's more fan engagement, more interest in the sports. That has happened around the world, especially you mentioned international football. So I think that will occur, but it's a little bit early to see, as the Supreme Court just ruled earlier this week. But we see it as a positive development, and we're watching it very closely as an individual club.
How will you protect the players?
Well, the players, they need to be subject to the rules that all of us in baseball will be subject to, which exist. You cannot bet on baseball if you're involved with the sport. That's obvious, and I think through greater regulation and monitoring of gambling activity, that will be aided and expanded. So Major League Baseball is all over it. They're working closely with Adam Silver at the NBA, Jay Monahan at the PGA Tour, to make sure that all the sports governing bodies are linked and aligned in this as we enter this brave new world.
Should you take a cut? Should the sports get a cut?
I think it's appropriate for the sport to have some type of integrity fee. There will be a lot of expenses incurred by the individual sports to monitor the activity. Certainly the intellectual property, the investment that the industry makes, whether it's $9-10 billion being invested to put that content out there. I think it is appropriate, but that's obviously up to the government to decide.
Sam, you've been here for 15 years in excess of.
Forever.
What's been your favorite moment sitting in this hallowed ground? Give us a sense for our audience who are such fans.
I grew up in Boston, about a mile down the street. So my favorite moment was 2005 when I was able to give our 2004 World Series ring to my dad. He is a huge Red Sox fan, and that was a very special moment. I had the good fortune to get my career started with the New York Yankees, believe it or not, back in the 1990s.
Keeping it close to home.
Yeah, and then I went to the San Diego Padres. But to come back home and work in the town that I grew up in. It's been a dream come true. And John Henry, Tom Werner, some of the best owners in all professional sports, they've really invested heavily into Fenway, as you can tell. So it's been magical, and I look forward to the next 15 years.
Sam Kennedy, I hope that we can come back, and I know that there have been many fans really interested in this conversation. Thank you so much. And of course was the president of the Boston Red Sox, Sam Kennedy, joining us, and a big thank you for having us broadcast from historic stadium.